MIT torches tin walls after Somalian scam broke Minnesota for $1 billion on his watch. The New York Times has thrown Minnesota Governor Tim Walz under the bus over a massive sprawling fraud scandal that federal prosecutors say siphoned over $1 billion from the state Social Security safety net programs, more than the entire state spends on the Department of Corrections. The fraud involves a series of schemes that federal authorities say took over the past 5 years. Many centered with Minnesota's Somalia diaspora, where individuals established companies that built state agencies for service that were never performed, like all those autistic kids that were pretend getting services. Prosecutors say 59 people have been convicted across various cases so far in 3 separate plots. Minnesota's fraud scandal stood out even in the context of rampant theft during the pandemic, so they were one step above all the rest of the scum. Good job. Way to win. When Americans stole billions through unemployment benefits, business loans, and other forms of aid across the federal orders. Federal prosecutors have emphasized the seriousness of the cases being prosecuted by career federal attorney Joseph H. Thompson, who warned that the scale of the fraud threatens public confidence. No one will support these programs if they continue to be riddled with fraud. Mr. Thompson said, "We are losing our way of life in Minnesota in a very real way. The world is poor. The world is broke. Everybody stole for the past 5 years, not me. I got services team. I paid $30,000 for 4 people on health insurance. Okay, I'm the one being stolen from. The first, feeding programs and expanded fraud. Those poor people need to eat, but you ain't getting food. The first public indication of systematic problem emerged in 2022 when attorneys began prosecuting fraud related to pandemic-era child nutrient programs. Like, everything just screws the kids. We're going to take the kids, get them for the kids, but then we're never going to give it to kids because people want to give to kids, so we're going to screw everybody. We're going to screw people's minds, we're going to screw with people's lives, and we're going to feed the kids. Prosecutors charged that Feeding Our Future, a Minnesota nonprofit making mega profit, partnered with dozens of local businesses to claim reimbursements for tens of thousands of non-existent meals. Oh my God, I want to throw up. The funds were allegedly used for luxury spending, including homes, vehicles, and international real estate investments. I gotta buy my house in Cancun. Cabo, girls. Cabo. Investigators later determined the problem extended beyond the food assistance programs to additional fraud scams later that year, including inflated reimbursement claims for services of people at risk of homelessness, fraudulent autism therapy certifications, including children recruited from Somali communities in Minneapolis. So frustrating. It's so frustrating. As a mother with 2 kids with autism, fighting to get people to help me. One provider paying $30,000 a year to also have to pay copays and meet deductibles. It's insane. One provider in the autism program, Asha Farhan Hassan, is accused of facilitating a $14 million fraud. So he'll have plenty of money to pay for lawyers, don't worry. Ryan Husky said she entered the field with good intentions, but eventually engaged in falsified invoices and intends to plead guilty. Well, good for her. Good for the people coming out. Basiga added, although she's a horrible human being. Okay, let's not get it messed up. Basiga added that soon defendants believed state agencies were enabling the fraud. No one is going to do anything about the red flags. He said it was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar and they kept refilling it. Yeah, no oversight, no controls. I mean, I worked in banks, I worked in mutual fund companies, I worked for Citigroup, I worked for Smith Barney, if people know who that is. I couldn't buy stocks until after I had my kids, when I wasn't working anymore, because I didn't feel like filling out the paperwork that said I bought a particular stock. It was so annoying. Anyway, so I stick with mutual funds because I didn't have to report them because they're pulled with hundreds of stocks. So anyway, Casey Maggin, a former fraud investigator at Minnesota Attorney General Office, said that pushback contributed to the reluctance among Democrat officials. Oh my God. There is a perception that forcefully tackling this issue might cause political backlash among the Somali community. So if we say, I'm sorry, no, you didn't follow the rules, or you don't meet the guidelines, we're going to say no, the whole hell breaks loose, and they'll be burning down the building. Okay, got it. Amid the prosecution's allegations even spilled into the courtroom conduct, defendants attempted to bribe a juror with $120,000. Shocker. And a note asking, why? Is it always people of color in immigration prosecuted for the fault of other people? It's always the black people. We are so persecuted. Mr. Thompson argued that heightened racial sensitivities following the death of George Floyd. Nobody cares about him. Nobody cared about him before. Nobody cared about him when he was dying. And y'all fake cared about him when he did. Mr. Thompson argued that, all right, I read that already. Allegations of racism can be reputation or a career killer. Crying out loud, Mr. Thompson, I can't do my job because I'm white, and black people are going to burn down my building. I don't pay them reimbursements for fake things. Waltz's response, Tampon Waltz. Now, second term, and seeking a third, acknowledge that pandemic policies prioritize speed and accessibility of assistance. Yeah, the program are set to move the money to people, Mr. Wall said. Set the money to move, okay. So we need to move the money to get to the people, my people, that are going to help me get my communism going. I need my communism. Gotta have my communism. The programs are set up to improve people's lives. And in many cases, The criminals find the loopholes. Yeah. But we ain't gonna do anything to plug up those loopholes. We ain't gonna do any of that. I like to go out and smell my buildings burning and tires on fire. Okay? And of course, since we're also seeking a third term next year to become the central theme of his upcoming governor race, good luck with that. He introduced strict measures. Strict. I'm going to say big. A task force to pursue fraud cases, enhanced inter-agency data sharing. Wow, we have become so intelligent with our technology that when people were involved in pushing paper and signing off and reading, it was a lot harder. But now with technology, it's a lot easier to steal. It is. Apparently, allegedly, I wasn't there. Community impacts and racial tensions. The fallout has reverberated sharply within Minnesota's small community of roughly 80,000 residents. 80,000 is a lot of people to piss off. I get it. I don't want to piss off 80,000 people. I'm just stepping up to 3.6. The fallout has reverberated sharply with Minnesota's Somalia community of roughly 80,000 residents. Many say the scandal have cast suspicion of innocent families and entrepreneurs. Rep. Ilhan Omar, whose district includes Minneapolis, urged Minnesotans not to generalize wrongdoings. We do not blame the lawlessness of an individual, but the whole community. $1 billion total lawlessness. It's more than one individual. Except a Somali American Professor Ahmad Samatar of Macalester College argues scandal demands honest reflection. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Dr. Samatar said that Somali refugees who came into the United States after the country's civil war were raised in a culture in which stealing from the country's dysfunctional and corrupt government was widespread. So, in other countries, stealing is not stealing. It's a cultural thing. You are racist, okay? You're racist. Minnesota said proved susceptible to rampant fraud because it is so tolerant, so open, and so geared to keeping an eye on the weak. No, son. It's not keeping any eye on the weak. We ain't feeding the kids. We are fake autistic kids that are being fake treated, and we are just taking the money and getting Louis Vuitton shoes. Some Somalia social studies have criticized the increased scrutiny with Minnesota's Somali community centering and certain. Listen, girlfriend, go at the end of the article. My take, that girl, Ilhan, had to stand up. Let's talk just out. Blah, 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 blah. She said, Somalia won. I'm glad things are turning around. Although I don't know if they're turning around. I'm glad there's an article about it, okay? I'm glad there's an article about it. Will it come? I don't know. Do I care? Yes, I care. I live in New Jersey. I have 2 autistic sons. I'm trying to scrap and save every penny I can to take care of them as I get older. I'm 52. And I gotta have them taken care of. And, can't